If you're struggling with getting your newborn to sleep, welcome. You have come to the right place. My name is Fifi. I am a twin mom. I'm a radio broadcaster currently filming on the move, not in her usual setup. And I've got 5 tips also for you to use in order to help your newborn or your infant to sleep better. I'm talking about night as well as those naps. Let's get into it. So here's the thing, my twins were born in January of 2021. I had to think about that for a moment. Yes, I did. It's been a lot. I'm filming this towards the end of the year, and I like to go back and reflect on all of the challenges and some of the moments where I felt I needed some extra support or perhaps some extra information when it comes to raising twins or perhaps even raising a newborn. Now, I will come out and say it. I am a Google mom. I like to fact check. I like to find information online, right? And then take it from there. Of course, listening to the elders and hearing what they have to say. But for the most part, I've been carving out my own journey, my own kind of motherhood, and defining my steps and defining how to raise the babies using tradition as well as modern medicine. There are thousands and countless of studies out there that are there to assist us in raising our little ones. So by falling pregnant, I was definitely a first-time mom. I didn't know, the real true intricate ins and outs of, helping a baby fall asleep and most importantly, raising a newborn or an infant to toddler size as the twins now are. So let's start off with the very first thing, right? You need to do your prep work. It sounds easier said than done. It sounds very obvious, but it might not be to first-time parents. And that's why I think it's important that we stress this and we share this information. What does your prep work entail? It means, has the baby been changed? Are they in a clean, fresh, new nappy? Can you imagine if you had soiled yourself and you're trying to fall asleep? That's not really going to help. That's not really going to work. You're not going to fall asleep. So ensure that your baby is always in a clean nappy. Ensure that your baby is well fed, not overfed, not underfed, not hungry, not, full to the point where they're just regurgitating all these copious amounts of milk. But ensure that your baby is well fed, whether breast milk or formula, it's all up to you. Ensure that your baby has adequately been burped. If there's a gas bubble trapped in their little airway, not their airway, my goodness, right? Is it esophagus? In their esophagus? In their trachea? In their body. Ensure that you get that gas bubble out so that baby is truly, truly comfortable. It sounds very obvious, but I promise you, I think quite a few parents do struggle and, you reach a point where you have a newborn, right? And they manage to fall asleep whenever, however, from the hospital leading into early weeks at home. And then you come into this phase where, you're now dealing with an infant. I'll get the actual terminology for you in terms of what the difference is between a newborn as well as an infant. But you get into this pattern and then eventually you need to start doing a little bit more work. Start being a little bit more conscious of how you are putting your baby to sleep and what sort of environment are you creating. My second tip for new moms and dads is make the room dark enough. Now, I'm talking about nap time, and I'm also talking about when it comes to sleeping in the evening. Quite a lot of us are living in city environments, right? Where there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of outside noise, as well as outside light shining through your curtains. My pro tip is try to get blackout curtains if you can. I think they used to be like a super luxurious and expensive thing, but now it's quite easy. You can pop into, I think Pep Home has some, Mr. Price Home, all of these retailers have them already pre-cut and pre-sized. Fit your baby's room window with that and watch your life transform. You need to put your baby down in a darker room. So newborns basically fall asleep anywhere, any place, anytime, right? Up until a certain point, and that grace sort of falls away eventually. So these are the steps, and this is why it's quite important to ensure that your little one is falling asleep as best as they can. So we're trying to improve the quality as well as the duration of their sleep. So think of the conditions of the womb. It's warm, it's cozy, there's not a lot of light coming through, hardly any really, unless you're directly shining a flashlight onto your belly, right? I think so. Ask the experts. I'm just a mom. So you want to sort of mimic those conditions. And with darkness, that means that melatonin can be released, right? Or produced, and it can be released into the body. And that is the sleep hormone, that warm, fuzzy feeling, just sleepiness. When you know you can fall asleep so well, so nicely, that's exactly what that hormone is meant to do. And what we're going to do for our twins, what we are going to do for our little one, is ensure that they are getting that wonderful release of the hormone in order to fall asleep, in order to grow, in order to have adequate rest and wake up in a refreshed and beautiful mood. So you can play with your little one and take advantage of, those awake hours in between feedings, burping, nappy changes, and just soak up all of that beautiful, beautiful love that they give. I believe I read somewhere online, and I will include the link if I can find it again to the article, that it's somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks where infants actually need to start sleeping in a darker room. So have a think about that, and as you're preparing your baby room, your nursery, your home, your bedroom in general for a baby to sleep, think about adding those elements to make it darker during the day. For example, the blackout curtains. My next tip for you is age old. It's something that is classically seen with newborns and infants, and I didn't quite understand why. I really just thought it was something to keep them warm for a very long time, up until I had my own babies and realized that babies jerk a lot. So they have like a jerking motion, they startle awake. I think it's called the Moro reflex in certain circles in certain nations, areas, countries, places. But what you'll need to do is swaddle that baby. And swaddling is that lovely little napkin tie that you put the baby in, and you sort of, kind of tuck the feet in, and you make sure that everything is accommodated and that your baby is like a little bundle. Like literally when people say bundle of joy, that's what I think of. I think of a swaddled baby. It actually goes a long way in helping them sleep. So when newborns are born, they have this weird reflex, and they just sort of jerk and startle and scare themselves awake. Now, can you imagine if that was happening to you over multiple times through the night or during the day, how uncomfortable and how irritable you would actually be. Because as you're falling asleep, getting into that wonderful deep sleep realm, and then boom, you're jerked awake by your own body that you have no control over yet. I would also be annoyed. I would also be a cranky baby, and that would result in poor quality of sleep. So if you're a mom or dad who's struggling with getting their young one, their little one, to sleep a little bit longer, consider swaddling the baby. So remember that we're swaddling our babies in muslin, how do you pronounce that? Comment down below. In a muslin or a muslin cloth or a cotton cloth. You can go to any baby store and you will find these, right? We're not swaddling a baby in a big, thick, heavy blanket. We're doing a light, breathable fabric like cotton as well. This is just to ensure that their arms are nice, tucked in close to their body. We're not swaddling too tight at the hips as well. Because there's a danger, please do read up on safe swaddling practices. You don't want to tie it too tight that your baby is literally mummified and restricted in the swaddle. That can also become uncomfortable and very dangerous. I believe that you can actually cause some hip dysplasia if you tighten the swaddle too much, so be careful of that. But what definitely worked for us as a family and the twins is swaddling that baby. All right, tip number 4 that I have for you today might be a little bit controversial. It's either you do like it or you don't like it. Consider a binky, a pacifier, whatever you call it in your language, but you can consider it, and it may just help your little one sleep a little bit better. For us, it worked really, really well up until it didn't, and I'll explain why in a moment. So a pacifier, the sucking motion for a newborn, for an infant, is very, very comforting. I found that the twins would often just want to stay latched on if I was breastfeeding them, and nothing much was really happening. They just really enjoyed being soothed by, that sucking motion, by that, I don't think it's a reflex, but that just really, really worked well for them in terms of getting them to sleep well. So I couldn't be their pacifier. I had to get up and do things. I had to pump. I had to, try clean my C-section. It's a lot, my dear. So what you can consider for you and your family is using a pacifier or a binky. Now, I say it'll work up until a certain point because it will become very irritating as your baby becomes older, right? They move more, which is amazing. It's exciting to see from like this little squishy human who barely even moves except when they're jerking and having the Moro reflex, or stretching or yawning. They have very minimalistic movements up until a certain point where they start growing and they start doing more and they start showing you flames, honey. So what happens? Load shedding, thank you. So what happens is that during the night in the cot, the twins would often lose their binky. So they would suck up until a point where it falls off, or they try and, like scratch their face or do something, and they would flick it out of their mouths and they would not be able to find it. So at some point, I think Dad and I, between us, were waking up anytime between 4 and 5 times, trying to locate the binky and put it back into the twins' mouth. And look, we were doing this in a sleepy stupor. It just became hectic, okay? I even got them glow in the dark ones by Tommee Tippee, and it worked for a while. They were able to navigate and identify this glowing in the dark object, and we'd also put about like 3 cots in each, 3 binkies or pacifiers in each cot so that they could, if they lose this one, they are able to find another one. I hope you understand what I mean. So binkies did work for us up until they didn't, up until, we actually needed to get rid of them. And that was a whole other exercise. I can't even do a video on that because truly the MVPs of that were their teachers at school. So I don't know how they did it, child, but we managed to thug it through. That's ultimately it. And tip number 5 for you today may sound very mundane, but it is routine. Routine is key. Routine is NB. Routine is what saved my mental health and my life as a twin mom. It is absolutely important. And I do believe even with a singleton, it's very important to have routine, to have, expectability, right, throughout your day. And remember, you are also training your little human into the ways of the world, into the ways of the humanoids, right, where darkness means we are sleeping. It is time to sleep. And daytime means it is time to play. It's time to be awake and have great fun, right? So remember that routine is key. Try keep it as simple as possible. As soon as your little one wakes up, do a nappy check, do a feeding, do a burping, do a little, swaddle-free moment, pats on the back, let them do their tummy time, because we're also trying to work on that neck strength, right? Which is also important in a baby's development. So try and differentiate between day and night. Keep stimulation to a minimum before they are going down for a nap or before you are putting your little one down for the night. It is very important. Don't get them overly excited. Don't be doing the tickles in the middle of the night. No. We can still have our hushed, sweet and, very loving, caring moments without the excitement and, overstimulating a child before you put them to bed. Once we implemented, those strict guidelines, it was better. we saw a huge improvement in how long and how well the twins generally sleep. So while consistency is key, I do understand that some room for flexibility must be allowed, right? So sometimes when you have visitors, try not to skip out on the baby's nap times and breaking up that routine, because it is very important to sort of have them, I don't want to say stuck in their ways, but stuck in their ways, right? Because you can generally time how long a baby's awake periods are, and when they start to get cranky, fussy, the eye rubbing, the ear scratching, the hair pulling, and you can recognize to say, okay, this level of fussiness means the baby is sleepy. I've done everything. I've done my prep work. Remember, number one, we've had a great time, and now it is time to put the baby down to sleep. So try your best, speak to your friends and family members, actually give them visiting hours, because trust me, you're going to need it. And try and just time every other, what can I say, activity to your baby's awake time. So if you are alone, I do understand a lot of moms out there don't have the necessary support that they absolutely do deserve. But mommy, single mommy, if you're doing this on your own, ensure that you are, just as soon as the baby wakes up, you do the nappy change, you feed, you burp, and if you need to go out on a shopping expedition to get groceries or whatever it may be, hit that sweet spot while your baby is awake and not cranky and not trying to fall asleep in an overstimulated environment. Now, I'm not saying that your household should be the drop of a pin needle quiet. Hell no, because that's just not realistic. I mentioned that I stay in a city, so there's lots of traffic. I've got noisy neighbors, cars are noisy, all sorts of things are happening. Someone's driving in with their sound system blaring. It's just the way, life tends to be. So do try your best to just find your consistency, find your sweet spots for you and your little one. All right, now you've reached the end of the video. I hope you can take something away from what I've shared. Remember, this is my account, my journey, what has worked for me as a twin mom. So that means it'll definitely work for you. I'm joking. Having twins does not make one the authority of baby care, but I do believe there's a certain level, there's a certain level in terms of baby care that, requires smart solutions. And, trust and believe in a twin mom. She will find a way to get it done. So I hope that you'll take away something from this video. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and enjoy the length and breadth of content coming. I feel really, really good about the year 2023, and I hope that you can stay along for the journey. It's going to be an amazing one. If you need something to watch and you are a new mom, I will put down some recommendations here in just a moment of, let's see, I think you would enjoy watching content on breastfeeding and my breastfeeding journey, so I'll put that up. And you will also enjoy content about my first year of motherhood. Okay, look, it is a doozy, but you and I are gonna get through it easy peasy. Thank you so much for watching. The name's Matila, twin mom, radio broadcaster, working, doing all the things at once, because a woman must multitask, apparently. Ciao.